Greetings, this is Offset Segment, your esoteric numerologist, back with part 2 of Numerology and Ascension. I left off talking about graduation and having an understanding of what our divine purpose is. What is the reason that we're here on planet Earth? But I also want to say that there isn't any prerequisite in order to be a candidate for ascension. What I'm saying is that there's no perfection in the flesh. The fact that we are here in a descendant form in matter lets us all know that to ascend, we would have to move up in a more spiritually elevated way that doesn't have or incorporate our bodies. So if we have someone here who is giving us a lot of prerequisites, that's saying that, don't look at TV, but yet you're on the internet, on YouTube, and you're using cell phones, or they're saying that monatomic gold is, the way to ascend, or drinking a lot of alkaline water, or types of Kriya breathing, or different types of yoga, or maybe Qigong. These are all theories. Because if these people who are presenting this information are ascended masters and they have gone to various levels and dimensions to come back and teach you, then they can give you the formula. And even so, if they are here in the flesh, there still is no perfection about who they are. So what I say is just get what you can learn from everyone, and let your heart be your pendulum. Let your spirit be your guide. Because you have to know that what you're trying to get is the tools in order to enhance your ability to discern and to move onward and upward. Many times we get trapped in the race game. There has been different schools of thought that said the more melanated that you are a candidate to ascend. And if you are recessive in your melanation, that you won't. And so here again, we're dealing with racial extremes and polarity. We're also dealing with mind games of duality and the color of exterior mentalities. And why do I say that? Because we are spirits having a human experience. And so we chose to come here and incarnate in different body vessels, in different suit instruments that have various degrees of melanin. If you're a Caucasian, you're melanated, but you're recessive in the expression of it. If you are quote-unquote African American, or what we call black, which is a misnomer because it's a color, it's not a race, then we have more melanation, and according to the degrees of that melanation. But the fact that we are all melanated beings doesn't guarantee you a seat or give you a ticket in order to ascend to a higher dimension or density of reality. So I just wanted to put that out there, because we like to play these crayola games that, if you're white or if you're black, that this has something to do with your being able to move onward and upward. We chose to come back here as spirits, to be involved in certain cultures, to come back in what has been created, certain races. We're all human beings, basically hybrid species from our extraterrestrial parents. And I'm not going to get into that right now, but we have been used in a chess game to play different race games against each other. And so I'm not here to try to promote any melanated or non-melanated agenda. I just want us to grasp esoterically by our spirits and by our consciousness that this is who we really are. We're just using these suits called instruments, called bodies, as a way to express the Creator in us. So therefore, there isn't a set checklist to say you're going to ascend. What's interesting now is I'm going to move on to Ascension Symptoms, and this will help to see if you have any of these symptoms that have been occurring in what we call the shift. Many also call it the quickening. And the quickening and the shift happened to me in a most dramatic way 2 years ago. I had to stop eating meat. I got sick eating meat. It built up mucus in my body. I stopped eating dairy foods as well. I stopped taking the perm out of my hair and have grown it natural. This is not my natural. I'm actually growing dread, so I'm using part of my, how can I say, wardrobe, to express myself in the manner that pleases me at this time. However, let us not get stuck on what is external. And my message is about ascension. Many of the symptoms of ascension deal with blurred vision. They deal with ringing in the ears. Sometimes you hear a whooshing sound. You might even hear the Schumann resonance of the earth, which is really interesting. I had an interesting experience one time when I'm so used to hearing this resonance that I didn't hear it at one time, and I just weirded out. I thought, wow, there is something in the force. You know, it's like, what happened? It almost felt like audibly the lights had turned off, and I noticed it. So we have those type of symptoms. We might feel a little disorientated. We might feel more sleepy than usual. And then on the flip side, we might get up early in the a.m. from 2 to 4 a.m. Many of us are getting up. I used to get up at 3. So, I mean, almost like an alarm clock that would go off. We would have aches and pains in various parts of our bodies that we've never had aches and pains before. Changes in body temperature. I've noticed that men tend to have hot flashes now, and that this means the burning up of your karmic residue. There are energy exchanges with electrical appliances that if you walk by, you'll see them kind of either zone in or zone out. So it's talking about how our body is actually going through these symptoms and these changes. It says that our double helix strand DNA will return to a 12-strand DNA. And so these are some of the unique symptoms that we are going to, or are presently experiencing. I have not named them all, but I have named those that most people seem to talk about. There's also a longing to want to leave the planet, a feeling that you don't belong here. It's not a suicide feeling. It's just wanting to elevate. There's also the ability for us now to become more telepathic, and I've noticed that with myself. Sometimes there are also a connection when you really get connected with the mother, of having in the pit of your solar plexus a nauseated feeling, and that is connecting you with her to let you know that there are different earth changes that are going on. And I started to notice that with me more over the past year. I'm going to end this at this time. Had hoped to get more into the numerics, but when I had done a part 2 and it ran into 20 minutes, Google didn't want me to have this uploaded. So I'm going to end this here to 10 minutes, and I'm going to continue on with part 3, and I'm going to actually get into those numbers this time. So just stay with me, Hetepuu and Moet.